everybody, this is Godzilla 2010 again, coming at you with another Godzilla toy review. Today we're going to be reviewing the Bandai Creation Mechagodzilla 1974. Alright, well let's get started with detail as usual. Now, since Mechagodzilla is a metallic character, you'd think that, detail would just be in like the ruts and the rivets and stuff. But actually, Bandai Creation has done some really interesting things. They, see those folds like right there, and then you can especially see deep creases in the legs here and here. That's kind of, I think they were going with trying to make Mechagodzilla look more like a man in a suit, more or less, or like one of those, like as if this wasn't actually metal, which is really interesting, I think, and I think it's actually really a really interesting touch, because normally you never see anything like that. So I really like it, and technically it's accurate, because that's kind of what happened in the movie anyway, so really cool, really cool detail. And obviously the metal rivets and the intricacies in the detail are also really well. The sculpt is well done as well. There's the finger missiles, and then we got the knee missiles, and the toe missiles, and all the missiles and stuff. And the tail is especially cool, those scuts going down there, not scuts, you know what I'm talking about. And then we have the spines as well, short as they were in the movie. And then you got the rocket jet there. No rockets in the bottom, but that's okay. Paint, Mechagodzilla doesn't really need too much paint. He's got a silver coating all over him, and then certain areas for him to paint. Here you see the MG logo from the original Mechagodzilla. Is painted red, as it should be. Then you have the missiles in his mouth, which are red, and then you have dots of orange and other red places as well. His eyes are orange. I believe that's accurate. Other than that, the paint job, there's no like sloppy areas. It's pretty well done. Very simple, but still worth noting. Articulation, since this is a vinyl figure, it'll be limited, so it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it has 6. So 6 points of articulation for a vinyl figure. That's pretty good, especially the waist. I really like how the waist rotates, and it helps the outstretched arms make a really interesting pose like this. So it looks like he's firing the rockets, etc., like that. For scale, real quick, I do not have a 1974 not Mechagodzilla. I do not have a 1974 Godzilla. The closest I can do, though, is the 1968 Godzilla. I'm not even going to bother with the Bandai Creation one, because we all know it's too big. So here, let's look at the Bandai Japan 1968 Godzilla. Now, aside from the point that this is not the correct Godzilla necessarily, it's the Showa Godzilla. This is actually pretty accurate, because Mechagodzilla is a bit bigger than Godzilla, and this just about works. So if you don't have a 1974 Godzilla like me, this is pretty good. I'm not even going to bother with the Anguirus as well, because I know Anguirus is much too big. So here, real quick, we're going to compare him to the Bandai Creation King Caesar, which came out a little bit after the Mechagodzilla, or came out several years after the Mechagodzilla, but that's besides the point. I think this is a bit inaccurate, because this King Caesar figure is pretty big and bulky. King Caesar was also smaller than the Mechagodzilla. So here we have recreation of the final battle here. Kind of, if Mechagodzilla's arms would cooperate. Good enough. Yeah, I think the King Caesar figure is a bit too big, but it still works if you're, just doing like a random plaything or whatever. You still have King Caesar and you've got Mechagodzilla, so there you go, they'll fight. Also, real quick here, I'm going to compare the Showa Mechagodzilla to his Heisei counterpart and to the Millennium counterpart. So here you have all 3 generations of Mechagodzilla. Obviously, there is a Mechagodzilla 2 from Terror of Mechagodzilla, but it's almost exactly the same as this one, so that point is moot. Here we have the Heisei Mechagodzilla. This is the Bandai Creation one. Obviously, there's a Super Mechagodzilla, but it's practically the same thing again, so I'm not going to worry about it. And here we have the Bandai Japan 2003 Tokyo SOS Kiryu. Obviously there's a 2002 version without the drill arm, but they're very similar, so they're practically the same thing. And I think each of these reflect the how technology was portrayed. Futuristic technology was portrayed in film throughout different eras. So here in the 70s, we've got this really distinct style to it. You've got like these, I don't know how to describe these. They're like an accordion folds kind of things that are at the joints. That seemed to be a really common thing in the from the 50s to the 70s in robots, which is kind of bizarre, but you know, that's how the style was. And this you can just tell like it was kind of like an older thing. And here we have the Mechagodzilla from the 90s. Now this is a very clean, very polished look, futuristic, but not quite, you know, exactly what we would consider necessarily futuristic today. It's very clean, very white, very polished, so that's an interesting note. And then here we've got the Kiryu. This is more what we would consider to be futuristic. It's got many wires and stuff, and very many intricate little details as well, even more intricate details than the 1974 Mechagodzilla. Many moving parts, potentially moving parts. The figure itself doesn't move much, but yeah, it's got a lot more detail and a lot more like areas for the machine to be doing things, you think. So this drill hand would move, and then these would like, yeah, have airports and stuff like that, and then you can fly as well, you know. Just an interesting comparison between different generations of Godzilla film and film in general, how they portray technology. So, since he's a Bandai Creation figure, he came in a box. Let's take a look how he would fit in this box here. This is his box. This is his original box. I've kept this one. I believe it would be something very similar to that effect, where the waist is turned and his hands are like that. Either that or he was looking forward as well, so it's kind of hard to say. I can't exactly remember. In terms of rarity, this Mechagodzilla figure was originally released, I think in 2009, if I'm not mistaken, with the Bandai Creation Wave 5. But he was released like 1 or 2 times, I think. Because he was re-released in this Red series, which was like the re-release Bandai Creation series. And I think he was re-released in this series as well, even though he's not on the back of that packaging specifically. But he's still available. Like, you can still get this one, and I think this is the best affordable Showa Mechagodzilla figure right now. Obviously, there's the Bandai Japan one, but that's different. I believe on Amazon he might be going for $25 or something like that, which I think I got this originally for $15, which it's definitely worth dabbling into if you're a big fan of Mechagodzilla, or if you just want a Showa Mechagodzilla figure. I think it'd still be worth it to pick up the a slightly higher priced version of this one. He's no NECA figure or anything, but he's really good, a really good vinyl figure. One of my personal favorite Bandai Creation figures, and I grew up with the Bandai Creation line. So I really would recommend this figure. I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5. The only thing that really bugs me is the pose, but it's not that big of a deal, and I've made it work in my shelf, so other than that, that's the review. I would highly recommend this figure. This is Godzilla 2010, signing off. Bye.